welcome to the NBA Slate Breakdown for Tuesday night on Big Italy 42. You're talking about tonight's slate. Only 4 games of action, not a whole lot going on here. First off, Milwaukee and Miami. Keep in mind we have a 7:30 lock time tonight, so get yourself an extra half an hour to build whatever lineups you're building on this small slate. But Milwaukee at Miami, 192.5 total, 5.5 point favorite for Miami in this one. And as we're looking at the injury concerns, there are a lot of them for the Heat. We've got Goran Dragic is still out for this game. Bino Udrih is still out for this game. We've got Gerald Green, upgraded prop pool. Looks like he'll be fine. Josh McRoberts not playing. Chris Anderson not playing. Neither of those really matter much. But guys like Tyler Johnson want to take on a lot bigger roles once again. So he's a guy I'm going to go ahead and lock in my cash games and a lot of tournament lineups as well in this short slate. Dwayne Wade looks like he's fine. All the MRIs and everything came back negative, so it looks like he's, I believe, probable for tonight. So he's going to go as well. Really, the main guy I'm looking at here, outside of those two guys, would be Chris Bosh as far as cash games go. But in tournaments, I'm definitely getting myself some Hassan Whiteside. He certainly has the highest upside of any center on the slate tonight. Milwaukee, looking at the numbers there, this is a team that is blocked the 5th most times of any team in the NBA, 5.6 times per game. They're also in the bottom 10 in rebounding, so a lot of things going in Hassan Whiteside's favor tonight, so I like Whiteside quite a bit. On the opposite side of this one, injury concerns, there's not a lot of them. Bruce Vasquez still out. OJ Mayo is out for tonight. He's missed 3 games in a row. That doesn't mean a whole lot for either side, but the guy that's playing very well, 4 straight double-doubles, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak. This guy's been phenomenal recently, and when we saw him kind of be the point guard the other day against Charlotte in a game where Michael Carter-Williams struggled, he didn't see much court time, so he's a guy that I love in all formats. I think he's a great tournament play. He's got a decent floor as well. You can look at guys like Jabari Parker. Jabari Parker's been playing fairly well. Also, now that he's finally getting consistent minutes, 30, 37, 32, 27, 32. He's played 30 or more minutes in 9 of his last 10 games. 28, 24, 29, 28, 22 fantasy points recently. So this is not a guy that has huge upside, but if you're looking for a cash game play at power forward, I think he's a fine option for you there. All right, next up, moving on to the next game on the slate. Minnesota and New Orleans, 203 point total in this one, 5-point favorite for New Orleans. Big question mark here being Tyreke Evans. He's questionable for tonight. If he does go, I think he makes a really good tournament play because this is a guy that not a lot of people are going to be on. I think that people are kind of waiting to see that injury news to see if they can fire up guys like Norris Cole. And obviously, I want to play guys like Norris Cole for cheap as well. But Tyreke on a 4-game slate has big 40 to 50 fantasy point upside. Should see really low ownership unless we find out early that he's going to be in. So it's questionable, but keep your eye on that. No other real injury concerns as far as New Orleans goes. And none on the Minnesota side. So this one of the higher totals on the night, going to be an interesting one to target. Obviously, you got Anthony Davis as your top option. This one's not even that close. Hasn't had much upside recently. Last couple games, give me that nice floor, 44, 39, 42. If you want to lock him in for the safety here, then I don't blame you. I mean, there's plenty of other options that you can certainly fit him in your lineup. But if I'm paying up for one guy, it's going to be Russell Westbrook or Kevin Durant. We'll get to them here in a minute, but Anthony Davis is certainly a guy you consider. Ryan Anderson is a guy who has shown some upside recently. Obviously, a couple of those times, or one of those times was a game where we saw Anthony Davis go down with injury, but Ryan Anderson playing 29 and 27 minutes last game, scored 32 points against Charlotte. And so this is a guy that can fill it up even with Anthony Davis on the floor. Anthony Davis still scored 22 in that one. On the Minnesota side, I'm looking at Karl Anthony Towns in tournaments. Obviously, he's got some guys eating into his minutes. You've got Gorgui Dieng, Nikola Pekovic, both those guys getting a couple minutes out. Pekovic not playing particularly well, not playing a lot of minutes, but targeting New Orleans with centers has been a great proposition all year long. Very profitable one, so certainly one that I'm after this tonight. Point guard situation kind of matters a lot. What's going on with Tyreke Evans? Obviously, Drew Holiday's been tremendous recently. Facing off against Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio on the other side is fine. I mean, the way these Minnesota games have gone recently, we've seen Ricky Rubio has played less than 30 minutes in 4 of his last 6 games. So Ricky Rubio should be nice and well rested. This one could certainly turn into a high-scoring affair. Rick Rubio certainly some big-time upside there as well. If we do see Tyreek Evans is out, Eric Gordon's going to continue to see big minutes, but he has such a low floor. Look at his last 7 games. All but one of those with less than 20 fantasy points. The one he didn't was 46 against Sacramento. And that's the whole shooting guards against Sacramento adage there. You can look at guys like Andrew Wiggins. He's played fairly well. Shabazz Muhammad is a guy who has gotten an uptick in minutes. Very low floor on him, though, so not a guy that I'm going out of my way to play. Next up, Indiana against Phoenix. Phoenix, if you ask me, the worst team in the NBA. It's hard to disagree with that, I would assume. But either way, Phoenix hosting this game, only 7-point underdogs, 208.5-point total in this one. And there are some injury concerns here as we're looking at Indiana. First off, George Hill, he is questionable for tonight. Apparently he's still with family. We're waiting on news to see if he's going to be back for today. But if he's back, he should be fine. He's dealing with a personal matter. He's not injured. Rodney Stuckey, as we know, is out. Jan Mahimi sat out the last game with a sore left ankle. Then they said it was a heel. So he's day-to-day. If he does not go, we saw Miles Turner have a monster game last time out. It's a Phoenix team that does not defend well at all, really, in any position. So wherever you can get value in this one, looks like a good spot to be in. And on the Phoenix side, as far as injuries go, of course, Eric Bledsoe's still out. You've got Ronnie Price, who is out. You've got Alex Len, who practiced yesterday, expected to play today, but not a guy that you're really targeting here in this game. One guy that did play really well, 34 minutes in his last game, 26 or more fantasy points in 3 straight. He's really cheap. Markieff Morris, now only $4,900 on FanDuel tonight, so definitely a guy that I'm going to give a look to. Markieff is only 48 on DraftKings, so imagine he's going to be a pretty popular play tonight at that price point. Obviously, Alex Len coming back could potentially take a couple minutes from him, but it seems like he's finally back in that rotation, and this team has nothing to lose. So obviously, you can see what you got. Maybe try and showcase some talent. Maybe work yourself into some trades because this team is certainly going nowhere right now. Other options, of course, you got Paul George, who has given you that high floor recently, but hasn't had the upside. 32, 40, 35, 35 in his last 4 games. The 35 was against Phoenix in only 27 minutes. That's my main concern with this game is, Paul George likely won't need to take over this game. And, it's a tremendous spot for him. I don't know that I can fade him in cash games at all. But either way, this is a spot where you can certainly see the Suns get blown out in this one because this is just a really bad team. But you've got other options. Of course, Brandon Knight has been decent. I will be playing George Hill if he's back. A guy with a decent floor. He plays a ton of minutes. Not huge upside, but Phoenix has been just god-awful against guards. Monte Ellis certainly got to play here as well. He's been playing some solid basketball, even with George Hill on the floor. So, got to like that. And then your cheap guys, you've got your Devin Booker, still getting minutes, not doing a whole lot with them right now. You got TJ Warren there. He's seeing low 20s in minutes for the most part. Not a guy that I'm particularly enthusiastic about. TJ Miles is a cheap option, though, that you can certainly give a look to there on that side. Okay, Oklahoma City and Denver. Final game of the night on this 4-game slate. Oklahoma City favored by 8.5, 212.5 point total in this one. So obviously the highest total on the night. Take your pick here. Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. There's ways you can certainly get both in your lineup if you feel like this game stays close long enough. 2 games against Denver. Westbrook averaging 22, 9, and 10, 52 fantasy points. You look at what Durant is averaging against this same team in 2 games. He's averaging 25, 7.5, and 3, 43 fantasy points. Not a significant sample size either way, but with other options that I think are viable at small forward, I think I'm more likely to pay for Westbrook, but certainly if you can fit both in the lineup, that's a solid way to go. And outside of these two, I'm not really a fan of anyone on this team. If you do think it turns into a blowout, which I don't think it would be an extreme blowout either way, you got guys like Cameron Payne who are really cheap, but incredibly low floor. That's a tournament filler option only. Manuel Mudiay is fairly cheap on FanDuel still. If you want to take a shot at him against Westbrook, the turnovers are an issue. I prefer him on DK where the turnovers don't hurt you as much, but on a night like tonight, you certainly have to go off the board a little bit. Other options, Danilo Gallinari has not played well against the Thunder this season, but has played well recently. Just the one game, missed the other game, but 27 minutes. Shot just 3 for 13, 22 fantasy points. Obviously, he'll see a bunch of Kevin Durant, so not a great matchup for him. But he's certainly a guy that if he gets hot, can fill it up in a hurry. Kenneth Faried's a guy that I like a lot in tournaments. He had a monster game against this same team last time out. You look at his recent production, the minutes still aren't there. You don't expect they will be. He's going to see upper 20s, but had a really nice game against the Thunder last time out. So I'll give him a look in some tournaments there as well. His teammate, Darrell Arthur, playing well also. I mean, 5 of his last 6 games, 20 or more fantasy points. So certainly give him a look if you need somebody for cheap. As far as centers go, you've got Nikola Jokic, who just continues to put up huge numbers in small amounts of time. I think he's easily my favorite cheap center option. You got Yusuf Nurkic, who is likely to be out for this game. As I was double checking for that, I haven't really found anything definitive on that, but it seems to me that he's not going to be playing and has some knee soreness. So outside of that, you got Jameer Nelson, who's questionable for today. So obviously, if he doesn't play, Emmanuel Mudiay can get some extra run there as well. All right, hopefully I helped you out with tonight's 4-game slate. Find us on Twitter at DF Cafe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out the rest of our content at dailyfantasycafe.com.